I'm really excited today because my copy of Mothership has finally arrived. Mothership is a science fiction horror role-playing game. The Zero edition of the game came out in 2018 as the player's survival guide, and it got a lot of buzz back then. I wasn't free to play the game at the time, but I was really excited about it. Then in 2021, Mothership launched a Kickstarter that would fund a new edition of the game, which is what we have here. I eagerly jumped in as a backer, looking forward to getting my own copy of Mothership as soon as the Kickstarter fulfilled. For better or for worse, times have been tough for Kickstarter fulfillment and production and shipping and the world in general. And so it took a little time for Mothership to get to my front door. But I'm really excited that it's here now, and I kind of wanted to share the experience of diving into it for the first time with all of you. My Kickstarter pledge was kind of an all-in thing. It included the core set, the deluxe box, the expansions, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and also a t-shirt. So we're going to take a quick peek as we dive in here, starting with the core set. Now, the Mothership Kickstarter was actually the 8th largest RPG Kickstarter at the time, and was actually the largest non-licensed RPG Kickstarter at the time, which is pretty cool. We had a sort of similar experience when I did my Infinity Kickstarter with Modifius, where we were the largest non-sequel RPG at the time. It's exciting to kind of break that fresh ground. So you can kind of see the Mothership box here. Cool cover out on the front, and sort of an overview of everything in the box on the back there. We're going to go ahead and just open this up. This is very much an unboxing video, not a review video. I haven't had a chance to play Mothership yet. That is, in fact, why I backed the Kickstarter, and I've been waiting for the game to show up. I'm hoping to run a game of Mothership in the next few months, if all goes well. We're going to go ahead and open the box up here, ever so slowly, in anticipation. Put that back over here. All right, so the first thing I'm noticing inside the box, we've got a set of dice. I always like to see dice in my box set RPGs. I like it when you can sort of buy a game like this for a friend or family member and know that they're going to have everything they need to play an RPG. It might be their first RPG. I see some standees here. I don't know what those are for yet, but we'll take a closer look as we get in here. There's a little thing here talking about the Mothership Companion app, giving you some links for going to that. The next thing I see here is, yes, this is a GM screen, actually. This is a little mini GM screen, mini landscape. This is really great. And I can see on the flip side here, in addition to the awesome art facing the players, we can see all of the sort of reference material for the game in there. Taking a quick peek in here, I see things like distress signals, mega damage, that sounds terrifying. Tactical considerations, we have wounds, stats and saves, price tiers. This is, I mean, I don't know much about the game, but this looks like the kind of practical stuff that is actually taking up as much real estate as possible while still being very clearly laid out, that I like to see in the game master screen for the games that I am running. Put that right there. Mothership is very much a part of the old school revival tradition. It's obviously inspired by movies like Alien, for example, that kind of survival horror science fiction genre, but also takes a lot of inspiration from old school classic sci-fi role-playing games like Traveler and Metamorphosis Alpha as well. Let's see what's next in here. We have some kind of poster. This appears to be like a poster map of ranges there. And then on the flip side, I can see that we have a map of Bas Lemon Contessa. So we have some crew habitats there. So this looks like a space station of some kind. I believe it's going to tie into the quick start adventure that's in here. The next thing I see in here is actually we have a number of punch-out miniatures that go along with the standees. So those begin making sense to me now as well. We can see some very large and nasty-looking creatures right there, along with some other stuff as well. Next up, we have all kinds of stuff, actually, all kinds of little booklets. We have an updated copy of the Player's Survival Guide. That's going to be our core rules right there. We have the Warden's Operation Guide. We have the Shipbreaker's Toolkit, which on the back cover here we can see has all kinds of cool ship illustrations. We have unconfirmed contact reports. Let me flip through that real quick. So here we have little gods. We have ghouls and grannies. We have high gold. So this seems to be like the equivalent of a monster manual with all kinds of horrible things you can unleash on your players. I can see one of my players right now behind the camera not looking too happy about what is going to be awaiting her in the near future. And then the last thing we have here inside the box is another bug hunt. This is an introductory scenario, probably the first scenario that I end up running. You can see the really cool sort of semi-retro style illustrations inside, giving you an overview of everything you need for that adventure. Now, one of the things that's really cool about Mothership that I know from just kind of doing some research on it is that they made a really good point, as we saw with the GM screen, of making sure that all the layout and presentation is very much about what you need at the table and how you're going to use this material at the table. So here, for example, we have the player's survival guide. Right on the back, we have a how to play Mothership guide that lays out in step-by-step blocks exactly how you need to play the game. So all the information you need to play Mothership for the first time is right there on the back of the rulebook for you. Now, if you actually begin popping out and taking a look at how they've laid out the material inside the rule book, you can see this is a loadouts page here. And all the equipment is on two specific pages. And what this is actually, you can see here, all the weapons are on 2 pages. What this is a very conscientious look at making sure that you have a sort of tactical loadout on each 2-page spread, giving you all that information that you want at a time, so you don't have to spend a lot of time flipping back and forth when you're using a particular chunk of information. So that's one of the cool things about Mothership as well. So that's everything inside that core box set. I'm just going to take a moment to kind of pack some of that stuff back in there real quick. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the deluxe box. Now, the all-in Kickstarter package included both the regular edition and the deluxe edition. So this will kind of give us an opportunity to see the differences between them, but either one should give you everything you need to play the game. So let's go ahead and open up the box here. We can see that the deluxe edition of the game has the sort of gold foil look to it of the box. It does in fact look very deluxe. Back here is an insert print in, so you can take that away so you get a nice clean look to your deluxe set when it's on the shelf with the rest of your games. So inside this box, I can see here we're going to be seeing the player's survival guide, the warden's operation manual again. Those sound familiar. Shipbreaker's cool kit, unconfirmed contact reports. But then I'm seeing there's actually a whole bevy of additional scenarios that come included with the deluxe set. Dead Planet, A Pound of Flesh, Gradient Descent, and also another bug hunt. And that really is the big distinction from my understanding between the base set, the core set, and the deluxe set, is the deluxe set just comes with a lot of extra adventures for you to work with. Let's go ahead and open up the deluxe box here. Ooh, it's a very sticky box here from Tuesday Night Games. Good things come to those who wait. All right, so that's the lid there. So we're going to see, again, some things in here are going to be very similar to the core set. We can see the same sheet for the Mothership Companion app. But the next thing down here is we can see the deluxe GM screen, which you can immediately see is much larger than the base set GM screen. You can see those two right there as I disappear behind them like any true GM will. But you can see the difference in size there. Now, in terms of the material that's actually on here, the deluxe screen does take the opportunity to add additional material. So if I'm looking at the base screen, for example, I can see on the central panel that there is Panic, Stats and Saves, Survival, Price Tiers, and Pay, just to take one example. The central panel of the deluxe screen, on the other hand, includes all of those things, but also Contractors, Failures, Panic Checks, Leads, and Puzzle Components. Now, again, I haven't played or run the game yet, so I don't know what all those things are, but it's really cool to see them take advantage of the larger screen to have additional information, additional material laid out again in a very clear, I'll turn this around for you here, in a very clear loadout format where everything is very well compartmentalized, very well organized, very well delineated from each other. This is the kind of GM screen design that I really like to see because it just makes it so easy to have the information that you need at your fingertips. We'll actually have a video coming out in the near future here on the Alexandrian channel looking at how to use GM screens. So we might be taking a more detailed look at these screens at that time. I also love the art that we're seeing on the deluxe screen there as well. And of course, you can see they've taken the opportunity to make that in full color for the deluxe set as well. Okay, let me just shift a few things around here. Okay, took us a hot minute to kind of rearrange things because there's so many things. I wasn't anticipating taking up quite this much table space. We can see once again we have this poster map for the adventures that we saw in the core set. We'll slide that back over here. We have the same counters that we saw in the base set as well. Slightly different design for the counter sheet. As you can see here, it's a larger sheet, but it looks like all the same counters, just in a slightly different presentation to fit into the deluxe box a little cleaner. Inside the box here, I can see that there's something called Containment A, and if I open that up, I can see that it's actually a little storage compartment in here, with a little box in here as well. The box, I'm pretty sure, is empty right now, but it looks like this is all designed to kind of be a place for you to take all of these counters, which I'm now losing, all of these counters, and you can put them into these little containment sections on the side of the box. So there's a containment section on this side of the deluxe box, and then over here there's another containment section where we can actually find our dice set, slightly larger than the one in the core set, and also we've got right now in there we've got the standees for our counters in there as well. Now in here we have copies, as we mentioned before, of all the same books that we saw in the core set, and I'm pretty sure these are the exact same printings. We have here the Player's Survival Guide, the Warden's Operation Manual, the Shipbreaker's Toolkit, the unconfirmed contact reports, and the base adventure of another bug hunt. All of those are the same books, just available in the deluxe edition. And then the other thing that we're going to see inside this deluxe edition, as I mentioned, is additional adventures. This one is Dead Planet, and that is a violent incursion into the land of the living for the Mothership sci-fi horror role-playing game. That's by Fiona Maeve Geist, plus Don Strood and Sean McCoy. Again, that's Dead Planet. We'll go ahead and put that over here, I guess. We have A Pound of Flesh. Sooner or Later, Everybody Pays. We have Gradient Descent, which is what I'm really much looking forward to. I've heard all kinds of great things about this sort of new style sci-fi horror dungeon design, so I'm very much looking forward to this. It has on the back of it a random search table with entries like a tooth, it's yours, and all your other teeth are accounted for. A photograph of you as a child, a chibi figurine data stick, an emergency vac suit repair gel, an android head, its eyes dim and its mouth moving near silently. It's saying your name as it dies. So everything about that is horrible and terrible, and I love every single part of it. And I will say, too, coming back to this, I really love these little containment pouches. What a great way to add a ton of utility to a box set. I've never seen this before in really any box sets, and certainly not an RPG one. So I'm really excited to see that kind of innovation, even if it is just in the deluxe set, for designing that. All right, we're going to go ahead and throw that back here. So then the last part of the Mothership Kickstarter actually is this, what they call a storage box. And what the storage box was specifically designed for is that one of the cool things about Mothership is it has a whole bunch of these of these sort of pamphlet adventures. Some of them produced by Tuesday Night Games themselves, but they also have a very liberal licensing policy. So you get a lot of third-party producers who are also producing small adventures and supplements for Mothership. And so to help support all these sort of little mini adventures that various people, including Tuesday Night Games, have been producing for Mothership, part of the Kickstarter was to include this box, which is specifically labeled a Warden Containment System or a storage box, so that when you wanted to keep these someplace, you could just put them in these boxes and keep them on the shelf right next to your core set or your deluxe set, which I think is great. Because otherwise, like, I have a whole bunch of these little pamphlet adventures for other games, and they just disappear into boxes, or they fall down the back of the shelf, or they sit on the shelf and you can't see exactly what the adventure is because there's no spine for them to exist on. So being able to have one convenient place where I can put all of these adventures, well, I'll know where they are and I can find them with plenty of space, as you can see, for more adventures in the future. I really like the thoughtfulness of that as a design system. We'll look through these pamphlets in a moment, but I also wanted to call attention to a couple of different patches that came with the game. Those are cute. I like those. One is for the landing crew, and the other one is launch crew. The landing crew says, "To dust you shall return." I like that chipper, happy atmosphere. And the other one here for the launch crew is "Survive, Solve, and Save." I think that's probably giving you a pretty good indication of Mothership, whose tagline is also "Easy to play, hard to survive." So again, these pamphlets also came with the Kickstarter. They had a bundle of these that came with the Kickstarter of a bunch of different adventures. Just taking a quick peek through here, I have the Conversion Kit. That's actually not an adventure. That is for anyone who has the Zero Edition. This provides some notes about things that have changed and been updated in the new edition. It's great to have that. But we have Hideo's World is one of these. Looking at the back of this, I see that there's tables for glitches and textures and ads. That's fun. We have Terminal Delays at Anarine's Folly is another of the little sort of one-page adventures. Let's go ahead and just open this one up here. So you can see it's just a little trifold design. This style of one-page adventure or one-sheet adventure takes a lot of inspiration from the old one-page dungeon contest, which I used to compete in. I once won a best geometry for my Holes of the Mad Mage dungeon. In that. It also reminds me a lot of the instant adventures that Monty Cook Games has done for their Numenera and the Strange role-playing games. All of these, the great thing about all of these is that they're designed to be pick up and play. You don't have to do a ton of prep work in order to sit down and play, in order to play these kinds of adventures. And so Mothership is very much set up. Once you know the rules, you can just kind of off the cuff say, "Hey, you guys want to play Mothership tonight?" I can pick up any one of these little sort of tri-panel adventures, like piece by piece here. I can very quickly pop it open, look at the map, read through the material, probably while the players are quickly rolling up their characters, which I believe is a very quick process in Mothership. In fact, in Mothership, I know that all the rules for character creation appear on the character sheet. So all you have to do is hand the character sheet to your players, and they can walk through character creation, even if it's their first time playing the game. So while they're doing that, you can be reading through an adventure like this one-shot for Mothership, which doesn't seem to have a title. I guess it's called Fallout. And again, you can see just a quick tri-panel. You can read through this material and have everything you need to know to have an evening of gaming with your friends. Makes for Mothership to also be a great pickup game if you have a session where one or more of your players can't show up for some reason. You need to pivot to a different activity for the evening. You can grab Mothership off the shelf and away you go. This is the Hacker's Handbook. We also have The Haunting of Ypsilon 14. Again, you can see all the innovation that's being done with layout in an effort to make material as accessible and easy to parse and use at the table as possible. Again, a real great focus on sort of the utility, both in terms of the page layout, in terms of those compartments in the Deluxe Set, in terms of the design of the GM screen. Just a real thoughtfulness that went into every component that I'm seeing here. That makes me really excited to dive even further into the game and spend more time learning its ins and outs. And then last here we have the last little pamphlet adventure that came with the Kickstarter was Cryonoambulism, or Cryonoambulism, which has a little symbol of REM sleep here. The back here has lists for the gray room, the white room, the blue room, and the green room, which sounds super creepy. And that's the last of our adventures there. The only thing I kind of skipped over is that the storage box actually comes with little labels, kind of like you would get on VHS tapes. But you could get multiple Warden containment systems potentially if you end up with so much Mothership material you needed them, and then you could use the labels potentially to label which box contains which adventures, for example. And that is everything that came in the core set, the deluxe set, and also the Kickstarter package of adventures that went into our Warden containment system as part of the Mothership Kickstarter. At the moment, you can order a core set, you can order a deluxe set, you can order any of these little pamphlet adventures and a containment system for them to go into. And I hope that if you do, that you and I will all be going on Mothership adventures and either dying horribly ourselves or inflicting horrible death upon our players as we explore the wonderful dark universe of Mothership. And I hope to have many more things to talk about about Mothership in the future as I continue exploring what looks like a really wonderful game. Good gaming. This is Justin Alexander, and I'll see you at the table.